Thanks a lot for the invitation and for such a group people at the panel and for your questions. So basically, NFT is a very hot topic, and I even don't feel like it's still necessary to explain, but it is a non-fungible token, which means that it's a digital proof of ownership. It's a digital signature that cannot be copied or destroyed, and it is tracked because it's written on blockchain. And this is something that actually revolutionizing the digital art world, but I'm sure this is a great tool for changing the fashion industry as well as any other. So that's a great tool that we all should embrace, and it have been around for a long time actually, but this year it's just putting it to the next level and to the mass adoption. And that's why it's important to learn more about how it works and which use cases can be implemented.
Thank you so much. It was a great explanation for anyone who has not yet heard about NFTs. So 2021 is a year when we can actually, I feel that we can really rally together to change the world. Digital fashion can radically change the world by reducing waste, decreasing pollution through both production processes and shipping. Regina, could you tell us some ways that NFTs and digital fashion can actually help the environment?
It's yes, it's interesting question because I don't, of course, digital fashion can change environment, and I believe digital fashion can change our okay, just a minute. I'm so shiny, sorry. Yes, I think digital fashion can change our mind, but I don't believe NFT can change environment, because if you create NFT token, it's so much it produced a lot of carbon and carbon print, and it's not so good for our economy and for environment.
And Natalia, I see that Dress X and fashion in general can draw attention to issues. Do you have some designers create designs that are not only very creative, but highlight social or environmental issues?
Yes, sure. Basically, the digital fashion is an answer to the environmental problem caused by the traditional fashion industry and accelerated demand and like high pace of the production and of the consumption, because actually digital fashion item emits 97% less of carbon in comparison to the traditional fashion, and it saves a lot of water because it's a again fashion industry intensively using the water resources, but with digital fashion it's eliminated completely. The carbon footprint is an open question still, and there are a lot of talks about environmental impact of NFTs, and while the digital fashion is obviously more sustainable option rather than physical fashion, but speaking of NFTs, there is no definite answer to this question, just because yes, there are calculations and there are a lot of projects like Eco NFT that show how intense the footprint from all the minting and all the transactions that are happening. But there's no any big research on that, and there's no any big comparison, because blockchain will be implemented anyways in different industries, including fashion industry. And that's first. And should we be angry on the artists and designers and creatives who got this new tool to show their work and to establish themselves as artists, as designers? In the same time, financial industry using blockchain technology as well, and transactions that are happening with the credit cards, also based on the like electronics, and it's also creates a certain footprint, and there's no like comparison and fair comparison of all the data. So that's why for now I constrained from giving any judgment, and we actually performed the research about this topic. Same as when we were starting DressX, there were no definite data about how sustainable digital fashion is. And we started our digital fashion sustainability report to answer this question and to make sure what kind of environmental impact we will have with our activities. And same here, because we are going to launch an NFT marketplace soon. Before that, we decided to perform the definitive research and have a definite answer. Is it harmful or not, and how much more or less harmful it is, that comparing to the other industries, and the main, what can be done to eliminate this. So there are a lot of data. I encourage everyone to read about it, to educate about it themselves. I actually put together kind of a little list. Actually, it's already a big list of the articles about environmental impact of NFTs. It's in my link in my bio on Instagram, and I invite everyone to learn about it more and to just judge themselves about this.
Thank you. I love that everybody's actually looking at it from this point of view. We have one designer, Alison Murray, who's exhibiting at Digital Fashion Week, and she is actually making digital fashion labels, which includes things like the render time of each garment as well. So we can start looking at everything from a different point of view. Regina and Natalia, I'm going to stick with you just for one more question right now, and look at what about collaboration, because that is something that can really help bring different information to light as well. So with NFTs, did they allow for collaboration between not only designers, but also different people in the design and production process?
Regina, you want to start?
Yes, I think NFT collaborations and digital fashion, it's good place for collaborations between other people from every point of our planet. Why not? For example, one of on Replicant, a lot of our designers make different collaboration, and I, as a designer, made collaborations with other brand like Puma, Mori TV streaming service, and other collaboration. It's a good idea to make something beautiful with other people who live in other country, another point of our world, and I think it's so good idea. And NFT have a lot of collaborations too.
Collaborations in general is a big trend and a big tool for the creation. And for example, with Regina, we collaborate from the day one, and the whole digital fashion community is very supportive to each other. and more new people get into the space of digital fashion and into the space of NFTs. And of course, that's a great ground for starting any kind of collaborations. And of course, NFTs give this opportunity. First of all, that's a collaboration between different artists, between different designers. NFTs provide an opportunity to make a revenue share between them, and that's a great tool. Another aspect of the collaboration is with artists from different domains, with musicians, with visual artists, with fashion designers. That's another great domain. We also explore collaborations between the texture creators. It's like a very specific thing in digital fashion. And same as in traditional fashion world, there are productions of the fabric and there are fashion houses who use this fabric. And it's not common to talk about it in the traditional fashion industry, but actually insiders know that trends that we see on the catwalk get born like a year and a half prior to that at the trade shows of the fabrics. So which fabrics are produced, defined by this kind of people. And same thing can happen in digital world as well, but way faster. And that's very exciting.
It is definitely exciting that everybody who's contributing can be acknowledged in the life of a digital garment. Rish and Jared, I'd like to get your opinion because you're working in the broader world of digital and NFTs. What is your opinion? Does the explosion of the NFT market allow for innovation, or do you think there's a risk of making it mass market and therefore lowering the level of artistic integrity? Jared, you're unmuted, so let's start with you.
No problem. First of all, good to have all you guys on the panel. Harish, nice to see you again. Just Natalia and Regina, I know we haven't met, but I've been admiring your work for a number of months now, even closer to a year, it feels like, and really impressed by what you guys are both doing. I love what I've seen from the space even before this whole NFT explosion in January. So to answer your question, I think that there's a big misconception about what NFTs are at this point, because we've seen only a few functional use cases for them. So really, like, we're mostly describing the underlying asset when we're talking about the NFT right now. So for example, you're saying, like, what do you think about NFTs? But what you're really asking is, like, what do you think about crypto art and digital art that is tied to the blockchain via an NFT? And what's so cool about the Ethereum blockchain and NFTs in particular is that they're programmable. So smart contracts haven't even really been explored yet in the context of commercial NFTs. And I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to see this initial wave sort of die down. Like, NFTs are already becoming a little bit lame because every celebrity in the world has just like not thought about it at all and put out a piece of digital art that they're calling an NFT. I think you're going to see brands, celebrities, artists get really creative with that programmable aspect of it and make it a puzzle, make it a conceptual piece that doesn't necessarily have to only be the underlying digital asset, but can extend out into different reaches of the overall metaverse. So that's kind of how I see things playing out over the next couple of years.
Cool, thank you. Rish, I know puzzles and things moving and changing are very much your arena. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so, I think at Superworld, we are building a world, and it encompasses not just NFTs, but any content in general. But as we look at the potential of blockchain technology to empower creators, collectors, the overall ecosystem to be able to own digital assets, to be able to get rewarded for their user activity in a platform or their engagement with a brand or a designer, and to be able to in our case with Superworld, we enable users to be able to access this fashion content from anywhere in the world, either places they're physically at or virtually want to visit. And so, I think the combination of what's happening in the blockchain space with other technologies that we're implementing, like augmented reality and virtual reality and artificial intelligence that gives you a contextual understanding of the environment, NFTs are a very powerful vehicle for a brand, a fan of a brand, to engage with that brand and to achieve benefits from their engagement and love of a brand, for others in the ecosystem, like makeup artists, like retail stores, others that are enabling all of the things that we really love and happens in the fashion world. And there's a lot of people that miss out on those economic benefits. And I think the NFTs really kind of fill that gap and enable everyone to be empowered. That's what I'm really excited about. And that's what we're excited about Superworld, is supercharging the ability for designers, models, the overall ecosystem to be able to share the beauty into the world. I love that.
I just have a follow-up to that, because that was really well said, Harish. And I think the one thing that he's alluding to is really that this is a completely different landscape for people who have been traditionally undervalued, and that's creatives. I have run an advertising agency for the last 5 years. I work with a lot of commercial brands, and I think as I interviewed people who have entered the early NFT scene and crypto art in general, there's this sense of freedom that comes from, hey, I don't have to be a commercial artist in order to support my personal art anymore. I don't have to make an advertisement for a magazine page in order to pay my rent so I can make the mural for the wall that I'm really interested in making as an artist. So now you have this ability, just as Rich said, for people who have not been able to make this foundationally economically worthwhile for them. Finally, they're seeing the spotlight, and they're the ones who are sought after and have created leverage for themselves.
It is very exciting as well. I wish we could translate that to the physical world also, but empowering people to really take charge of their work and what happens to it. It is indeed really exciting. So the potential is enormous. Natalia, though, we see a lot of people who are jumping on the bandwagon of NFTs, not just artists and designers themselves, but people who are saying, oh, you should sell them, you should do this, you should do that, to push people in that direction. But there's a lot of fashion designers for whom it's still really an unknown area. What do you think people should know about NFTs before they get involved with them?
That's a very good question. And I've been in this space for a while, but honestly, I'm still learning a lot every day. And as Jared said, the opportunities are not fully discovered yet. But what I would recommend is to learn about different protocols that exist, and in general, and to understand what's behind this interface, because a while ago interfaces were not as user friendly as today. Even today, it's still like not 100% easy to understand how to use it to some new people who come to the space, but still understanding the differences would help to understand opportunities. And that's why I would suggest to learn and to make own research before jumping into the space. And at the same time, it is like learning by doing, and a lot of things are discovered and invented just with the first use. And the more new people come to the space, the more new ideas they may have about how to use it and what is possible to implement. So putting together the ideas and the research will help to emerge to the new use cases.
Thank you. So a topic of money. I really want to open this question up to everybody. I'm going to start with Jared because I think this is something that's important to you is how do we decide the monetary value of purely digital clothing and style items?
Yeah, the short answer is we don't. It's a market controlled system if you make it a market controlled system, and the market will tell you what the value is associated with it. There are all kinds of things that happen in the world of fashion that are counterintuitive. If you walk down Fifth Avenue in New York, where we're based here at Rumford's, you will see a lot of stores with items in the window that you would be blown away as to their cost if you understood their functional limitations. You know, there's only so much a bag can do, but you know, the market bears a certain cost to that item because it establishes a part of your identity. So I think you'll see things that are highly unique and give an identity to people that are priced very highly. But then you'll see examples like Gucci, for example, a luxury brand, released a digital wearable shoe about a month ago. And it was priced at, I think, $12 or $14. It's just a filter that you can wear digitally on your feet. It looked pretty basic compared to some of their other designs, but it was just sort of an entry touch point for them. And I think that's the price point that will be attractive to consumers, not ultra expensive, but you know, things that allow you to change your clothes all the time. And the whole point of this is expression. So to give the average consumer the ability to build out a full closet of digital clothing items, I think should be a primary goal for the industry.
Regina and Natalia, this is very much your area as you're selling digital clothing. How do your designers determine pricing?
About replicant, we have a simple rule at the replicant, and I tell about our new project. Price set by the designer or artist. At the same time, the price cannot go below a certain level to cover operations expenses, and the end price can be any high. It is also a market balanced by the demand and supply, and at the replicant we can see that the customers are satisfied with the price range because they come and they buy new garments every day. And I want to tell about our new project. It will be NFT digital wearable art, digital fashion art marketplace, NFT marketplace. And on this marketplace will be different price, different than replicant fashion, because it will be place for wearable art, for famous designers, famous artists, for really digital fashion art, and we will work with big brands, and we will do big collaborations, and so soon we will launch our first drop. Welcome to, I don't know, artisan.io website, and welcome to our Instagram and other social media. I think we will build a beautiful place when interesting moment. It will be a place where you can buy digital clothes like NFT, and you can try on these clothes with technology which can apply digital clothes at the photo momentarily, instantly. Yes.
That's really exciting. So try before you buy. I like that. Natalia, how about you?
Yeah, well, thanks for addressing. Well, we have this rule that designers should receive a certain revenue share, and that's why this is something that defines the price point, to be honest, I think for all digital fashion, the case that has been created a couple of years ago by Carlings is like a benchmark, which was kind of experimental project back then, and it was not dedicated to some revenue generating for the brand. It was a marketing project, but the items were sold for like $30, something around that. And that was actually the starting point for all the digital fashion brands. But it is great that variety grows and the number of the use cases also grow. And that's why there is an opportunity to have different price points with the NFTs and implementation of blockchain technology. It's possible to actually kind of prove the ownership and make it transferable. So create a secondary market for digital fashion. And this is something that actually provides an opportunity to also create value and generate the higher price point. But in general, I believe that the digital fashion, like a screenwear, as we call it, is going to be just the new category for every brand, same as like streetwear came in our lives. And every even luxury brand has a streetwear in their product line, or some entry point products like makeup and cosmetics for luxury brands is something that is an entry point. So screenwear is going to be, and digital fashion is going to be the vital part of the value proposition for every fashion brand, and also provides an opportunity to emerge to new designers. And now the market is just forming. So it will also balance itself.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Personally, I think it's such an exciting area that it will make fashion and luxury fashion more accessible to so many people. But I think at the same time, it's going to open up the markets for so many designers who are willing to be innovative as well, and they can release their garments. So you can sort of try them and feel them out before you maybe actually physically buy people's clothes. So I want to switch topics very slightly. And Rish, I want to get your opinion on gaming and fashion in gaming. Do you think that fashion is, gaming is perhaps a testing ground for what values are important in the NFT sector?
Yeah, you know, I think that blockchain gaming has still a ways to go in terms of adoption of you know, all of the benefits that the blockchain offers. So there are a lot of gaming platforms out there that are implementing technologies like NFTs into their platforms, and you know, enabling users to benefit from user activity and owning of assets like we do in Superworld. And you know, as the understanding of the market in terms of NFTs becomes more widespread, you know, I remember we've been in this market for about 3 years in the NFT market, and so pretty early in the space. And I remember 3 years ago, when I tell people about NFTs, they looked at me like I was crazy. And now I don't have to, you know, even explain them what an NFT is. It's suddenly like we're in the cool crowd, you know, with NFTs. And so that just kind of demonstrates that, you know, not only is the market better understanding what's happening with NFTs, but as it relates to fashion, which I would, you know, consider traditionally a less kind of tech-oriented market compared to gaming. Gaming is very implicitly tech-oriented. And so it just shows you the potential of the fashion world to, you know, I think more like the gaming world has and move into these more interactive virtual environments like Superworld, where you can really supercharge everything that you're doing in the fashion world by taking advantage of these technologies, incentives, gamification, the ability, like what's happening with Holly on DressX to do things very virtually. I think that I'm very excited about the intersection between gaming and fashion, and I think we're already seeing that in many worlds out there where that's coming together.
Jared, which companies and spaces in the virtual environments are integrating digital fashion? Which projects are notable?
There's a lot. It's a good question. It's not only fashion companies, obviously. And the line between gaming and fashion has become even more unclear now that gaming is no longer a game. I just read an article by Tim Sweeney, the founder of Epic, who produces Fortnite, and he had an insight when he saw that a lot of the players going to play Fortnite, the actual game, were just hanging out in the lobby and talking to each other. And they weren't actually playing the game. They were just there to socially communicate. So, I think you see gaming and lifestyle and fashion and culture sort of becoming this weird big cloud right now. It's not as separated as it used to be. So you'll see things like Balenciaga, for example, high fashion brand, did an entire ad campaign where they built out a virtual video game in Unreal Engine. And it's really beautifully done, and it's complicated. It's all through your web browser. The tech isn't quite there yet, and it's a little crashy, but the concept is there, and you see how immersive and engaging it can be for a consumer to even shop for a physical product within a virtual space. And then you say, okay, well, I like to say, think about how many people you dressed up for when you went to your first day of school. Maybe there's 400 people in your class, and how much you thought about what you were going to wear that day. And then think about the idea that you might have millions of followers on the internet, not 400. So the way you'd want to express yourself there would be even more heightened, even more expressive, even more important than it would be in the physical world. So brands are just learning this right now. The use cases, not to bore you guys with the story, are pretty limited to just basic use cases right now. But there's some exciting companies like Artifact, Aglet, WannaKicks that are experimenting with AR and experimenting with different blockchain collaboration ideas. Superworld is another area I'm watching, because like Harish said, to have the technology in an environment that looks and feels like your real environment, that just plusses everything up to a creative level never before seen. I mean, it couldn't be more exciting for the creative class.
Thank you. So do you think that NFTs are going to be a better place for luxury brands or for independent designers? Or maybe there's a different space for everybody. Let's start with Regina.
It's a good place, and for big brands and for independent designers. So soon we launched Artisant, where we will sell digital wearable art like NFTs, and in our first drop will be big brands and will be independent designers. At first, we launched Replicant Fashion digital fashion marketplace, like community of designers, because I'm designer and I like to share knowledge and to speak with designers, to make clothes, to share some ideas. And I like this. I like independent designers because they can move interesting ideas to digital fashion, and it's so cool. And big brands will do good digital NFT assets too, and I believe they will collaborate with independent designers to make their NFT drops or digital fashion drops more interesting. And I think it's cool for brands and for independent designers to make something.
There are definitely space for everyone, and right now there is a like hype and more news about more like independent designers doing something in this space, and that's a usual thing that some early adopters, some community create a space, and the bigger brands get into the space. And for sure this is something that is going to be happening, but actually like heavy luxury brands, they are also in the space already. It's just not that many conversations about it. Like Hublot brand, their watches, they already implement blockchain, and it's more like a luxury watches company start doing that. But of course the fashion brands will get into the space, and this decentralized community of creative and creators, designers, they value the community element a lot. And that's would be also an opportunity for the creatives, for the community, for them to help the bigger brands to adopt the technology, to adopt the use cases, and to gradually get into the space and naturally get into the space. So that's actually a big opportunity for the collaborations and for the creators that is opening, but also different brands will have like different use cases. Again, there are so many that are not discovered yet, and different categories will use the technology in different ways.
I would like to ask you as well about Superworld and how you see fashion can really benefit from the world that you're creating.
Sure, thanks. So at Superworld, we're a virtual layer on top of the real world, covering Earth, that enables anyone to create, discover, and monetize content anywhere. We also enable anyone to be able to create NFTs out of any type of content, 3D, 2D, audio, text content, and more importantly, fashion content. And additionally, we have the ability for brands and developers and companies to build on top of the Superworld platform. And ultimately, we're divided as an NFT. And so the world itself is composed of 64 billion NFTs. So it's very meta. We're an NFT powered marketplace, allowing you to create NFTs and build on top of it. And so there's a variety of different ways that you can, become a stakeholder or monetize if you're a designer or an artist, and be able to share your content. So as a simple example, a designer and a creator can create virtual items in Superworld, do a virtual fashion show, as well as do a real fashion show in a physical location in the real world. So you have a number of online, O to O, online to offline opportunities, and offline to online opportunities to interact. So whether you're talking about a retail store that's selling clothes, that wants to enable a user to get some benefit in the virtual world in their virtual store, all of that is possible in Superworld. So you have the combination of the physical world, the virtual world, all of the possibilities in both, and ultimately our why at Superworld, which I think hopefully will really resonate with the fashion community, is our why is we want to make the world a better place. We want to build a better world. And so what we do is we enable all of the user activity that happens in Superworld in the fashion space anywhere in the world to improve the world. And there's a lot of fashion causes that I think that we all believe in. And we'd like to enable our users, our designers, our partners, our influencers to be able to not only earn and monetize themselves personally with cryptocurrency and fiat currency, but we'd like to also empower them, and we'll partner with our users to give back to the real world. And fashion's a big area there that we can do that too. So that's exciting.
It's really exciting. I'm also really excited to see how we can possibly partner together as well as the world opens up for our next event in September.
That'll be fun.
Open up the floor right now and see if there's anything that anybody would like to add to the conversation. You're all just bursting with ideas, and I'd just like to have some free time that you can tell us whatever you would like to.
I have no shortage of things to say, so I will just say what's on my mind. Today, I went and I picked up the New York Times and I saw the whole article about how NFTs are going to ruin the world ecologically. I have a lot of opinions on this matter, and if I'm trying to sum it up, I think people really lack an understanding of how this stuff works, and it's new and it's disruptive and scary. And so the narrative for those people is, this is scary, it has ecological issues attached to it, so we should completely dismiss it as a concept. I think that's the wrong attitude and the wrong approach. And you've been seeing, even in the articles in the Times of all places, no alternatives, no conversation around what could happen to make things better, no comparisons to things like the fossil fuel industry or other players that have serious issues in the ecological concerns of this planet. I think the generation below sees through a lot of that because it just feels like the old guard a little bit. And there are real concerns about how much energy is being used. There are solutions to those concerns, though, and I would prefer if the conversation would shift towards those solutions and progress rather than saying, let's ignore this stuff, it's bad for the environment, because eventually it could be far better and more sustainable for the environment than any current system that exists.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And I think that as this technology improves, it's always going to get better. And so I think this is a start, and we have a lot to grow and improve the technology. So it does have very positive impacts on the world, and I'm very confident that that'll happen. I think as we look at any technology that's come out, in the world over the last hundreds of years, at first it kind of comes out in a very MVP kind of crude shape, and over time, I think it gets better and faster and more environmentally friendly. And I think that's our goal here too. So, and that's something we think a lot about at Superworld. So thanks, Jared, for bringing that up. I think it's very important.
This technology will be more sustainable in the future because, for example, Ethereum consumes less energy than Bitcoin today, and I believe this technology will be more sustainable in the future. And as long as we're promoting digital fashion values and ideas, it's so good and it's so fine and it's a good way.
Natalia, do you have any final comments?
Oh, well, I would add that there's still, a lot of real research and more data to be revealed about the environmental impact of NFTs, because it's a lot of things involved here. The source of energy that is used for sustaining the technology, and a lot of different aspects. There are a lot of new protocols emerge, and the community itself is very conscious about this environmental issue, and I believe that we just need to see the distribution of this power distribution of the resources and see how it's possible to eliminate it and how to give back to the environment. And I invite everyone who is interested in this subject to reach out to us while we are working on this digital fashion NFT sustainability report. And let's just make things clear. That's a very new space and a lot of education is still needed. And this is our mission, to actually communicate and to find the like real clear data and share it with everyone. So I encourage everyone to join this big research.